basically, we've been playing this game now for like a year. I can't remember. I think it might have been episode 9 is when we first picked it up.
That
And
sounds about right.
yeah, and Arno had always been like he'd been like a Pokemon Let's Player, and I've kind of just been doing other stuff. But we both saw this game and immediately impressed by it, and we immediately wanted to play it through. And who'd have thought that we'd still be playing it a year later? You know what I mean? Like how nuts is that? We never would have guessed. So we are truly honored to have you on here, and we just want to do like a small interview, hopefully for the people watching our series. We could publish that on YouTube and see what people think.
For sure.
Cool. Do you want to start, Arno?
Yeah, I'm fine with starting. But well, yeah, well, okay, can you make the intro there?
That was the intro.
That was the intro.
That was the intro, buddy.
Excellent start.
Thanks for keeping me posted.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Oh man, yeah, it's getting late where I'm at. Okay, so yeah, I'll get started with the first question. The most pressing question. When you started making this game, I guess it was over a year ago, judging from Metro, did you immediately aim for the bit of the darker plot that it currently has? Or did it all come gradually and you didn't really know where to take this game?
Well, I kind of just started making this willy-nilly, so to speak. I threw the first episode together, which would be everything from the start of the game to Julia. I threw that together in 2 weeks, just kind of doing whatever. And then when it started, going places, I worked out more of the story. It was naturally going to be a bit darker just because of the setting. The setting had been worked out well beforehand, so I was just rolling with what we already had.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So when you sat down and said to yourself, "I want to make this into a project," like what was that like? Was that just kind of like it progressed into this, or was that something you made a conscious decision of?
So I don't know if you guys have seen it, but on the game page, there's a link to a map of the Reborn region, a hand-drawn map that I made. It's huge. Like, the actual physical map is on 4 sheets of paper I taped together. So I drew that over the period of a long time. And then one of the members on my forum was like, I'm going to make this map into a game. And I pulled a Kanye West and was like, I'm gonna let you finish, but and I just kind of started the project there because I knew I could do a better job of it than that person, especially since I worked with RPG Maker when I was much younger. So I just kind of did it, and I was expecting probably to get bored of it after a couple weeks, but as you can see, I didn't.
That's
You're still
awesome.
around.
Yeah,
for
that's
which we're
really
very
cool.
thankful.
I honestly, if it was me, I've done things in the past that I could not do for more than a few weeks, but it's really impressive that keeping going.
So are we safe to say that you're still as excited about making this game as when you got started then?
I'm more excited.
More excited?
Duh.
Well, with all the growing media attention and big people making Let's Plays on it, and you probably get a lot of messages from fans, or so I hope. I guess you might sometimes even feel a little overwhelmed, or are you just taking it all and just going with the flow? Are you not really too conscious about all the Let's Players and stuff that are currently covering your game?
I wouldn't say I'm self-conscious about it or overwhelmed. I mean, honestly, for me, the challenge has been getting this out fast enough and good enough to keep up with people, because development time, I mean, obviously, like I said, I made the first episode in 2 weeks, but here it is, this episode is taking me 3 months. So, I mean, if anything is overwhelming, it's trying to do it quick enough.
Right. That would lead to my next question then. Basically, what's the most challenging part of this whole project for you? Maybe you've already answered that though.
Challenging, it's not actually any part of making the project. It's kind of in the same vein, managing my personal time. And I know people will say, don't worry about it. Like, just make the game on your own time. You don't have to rush. But I do want to do this quickly. So I feel like I'm not allowed by myself to do anything except for work on the game. I don't play many video games anymore because I'm always working on this one. So if there's anything that's challenging, it's getting over that for myself. Actually making the game takes time, but it's not difficult.
Gotcha. Cool.
I can actually relate to that sentiment. Well, whenever there's a big project I need to do or I want to do, postponing once usually leads to postponing more and more, and eventually you will grow detached to the
Yeah,
game
there you go.
or to the project. So perhaps, well, hopefully I understand your sentiment. I guess that could somewhat lead to my question, which is, did you teach yourself coding and programming, or did you really go to classes for that, or get some sort of training for that education?
Well, firstly, we should clarify that this game is made with RPG Maker XP and Pokemon Essentials. So RPG Maker XP is a game making software. So it does a lot of the scripting set up for you. And then specifically, the Pokemon Essentials script set is a modification for the RMXP scripts to make RMXP make Pokemon games. So a lot of the scripting I have not had to do myself. But for customizations like the field effects and stuff, that I have been learning as I go.
Wow.
That's great. So basically, the engine is there for you, and you're just the painter. Like you're just making the world, and everything else is falling into place. Huh?
Pretty much. Scripting is not a strong suit for me. I do have one person helping me out now, so much thanks to him. But if I was better at scripting, we would see a lot of the problems with the battle system and such being incomplete. We would see those being fixed much sooner.
Interesting.
So how much time per day do you averagely like devote to making this game? How much time crawls into that for you?
Well, if I had to take a rough guess, I would probably say 10 to 14 hours a day.
Wow.
I'm literally baffled right now.
That's really impressive. Oh, man.
And you still have a life besides that. Wow, that's very admirable.
Well, I would not say I have a life besides that.
Well,
like, I have a job, but I work overnights in my job so I can just work on the game there, too.
Ah,
So,
interesting.
yeah.
it requires dedication. Wow.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so I have a few more questions, and I'm sure Arno does, about like the game itself. So the first one that I have to ask is, like, do you have a goal for how many episodes like you want to make of this, or is it literally just until you have written everything you want to write?
There's going to be 19 episodes total.
19 total. Okay, and that was something you planned many moons ago, or that's kind of just how it's going to develop?
Many moons ago, I planned for there to be 20, but I decided to combine the post game and the final episodes, so that took it down to 19.
Very cool.
Are some of the aspects of this game inspired on other stories or real life events, or is everything just coming straight from your head as you write it down?
So we had an online league for the Pokemon Online Simulator, which you might have heard of. It's much like Pokemon Showdown, if you're familiar with that, but it's its own separate program.
Oh.
So we created an online league where people would sign up against, or they would challenge a league with leaders of every type that were actually being played by real people. And the characters of this online league are what I put into the game. And basically, the game was based off of our online league. So a lot of the story events and all of the characters are based on the characters and events of the online league while it was still going. We've now retired that, but it's coming from that.
Very
Wow.
cool. Yeah, so that was going to be my next question then, inspiration for characters, but obviously the gym leaders, but what about like some of the more intricate characters, like the back in time character and the crazy guy with the hammer, Terra and stuff like that? Like, where did those types of things come from? You literally just popped them out of your head, or?
Those are roles that the gym leaders online have played.
Oh, okay. So they've actually
they're playing
personified
characters
those?
online, but
Right.
yeah.
Interesting.
A few of them were, like, obviously the person online was not pretending to be back in time. That was created for the game. But Tara is as crazy in real life as she is in the game. Trust me, it drives me nuts.
Wow. That's crazy. I had no idea.
I completely had no idea that these characters are actually based off of roles that real life people actually took.
Yeah.
That's very surprising.
That's all of the characters except for the Meteor characters. The Meteor characters were created by one of our forum users, but even characters like Rivals and like King or other characters like Sigmund, they were former online leaders, and I've just adapted their role for the
Wow,
game.
very cool, very very cool. That's
Do
one of
you,
my. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, well, it still has something to do with the characters. Do you sometimes feel like, well, that when you're making this game, when you're coding the conversations, etc., that you feel like certain characters have changed in a way that you didn't want them to change? Like, for example, a really outgoing character might suddenly get like a little darker and a little bit more moody as the game goes along, and you suddenly notice something like that, and it's too late to crawl back.
Nothing like that comes to mind immediately, but there's always the threat of that. I feel like I'm fairly competent with writing dialogue. That doesn't generally happen too much.
I would say, for his example, the whole Apophel Academy situation. That was the one that I was like, wow, this really took a turn for the dark, like out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
didn't seem like it was going that way at all. Like from the start, I had no idea.
Yeah, that was a case of with Corey and Kiki, the reason that that happened in game was because we actually lost them in real life.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Wow.
so that's why that became suddenly so dark. Kiki was suffering from, I forget what it was. It was some kind of lupus, I think. I don't remember for sure.
Yeah.
And Corey actually did jump off a bridge.
What?
So it's like a homage to, well,
Oh
to
my
them as a
god!
person.
I feel so
Yes.
bad for just like talking about these people like they're not even real. That's terrible.
It's all right. You're not the first.
Oh jeez. Wow. Man, that's
Yeah.
heavy. That is heavy right there.
Yeah, I'm actually baffled by that as well. Well, I had one more question, one small question. Well, it doesn't really fit with the current with the current atmosphere, but is there a very memorable comment or reaction that you have received about this game that you will always remember, like an inspiring comment from a fan or perhaps criticism?
I've received a lot of positive feedback. Nothing really glows from that, like in particular, just because, I mean, it's all good. But with the community itself, there was something I remember. Like, okay, so my site had a Minecraft server for a while, and people made a confession island on it. So basically, you just put up a sign on that island with whatever you want to confess. And one of the things somebody confessed, I have a suspicion for who it was, but I don't know for sure, was that if they hadn't found Reborn, they would have killed themselves. So that's
Wow.
something that sticks with me. That's for the community rather than the game,
Yeah.
but even so.
Oh man. Jeez, you got
Yeah.
a pretty. This is great. This is good. So much better than I thought. I'm so happy to hear about all these crazy deep stories about this game. It's so much. It makes it so much more meaningful now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And the
I feel
final.
like I've said for a lot.
Yeah, I bet. And the final thing that I had question wise was, when we play these together, right? This is the role we kind of personify. He's like the calm Pokemon expert, and I'm like the rash, like I just blow up. You know what I mean? And when we see some of these puzzles, they make me go nuts. I just lose my mind. How did you come up with some of these puzzles? I can't even imagine. How did you come up with the chess puzzle? That is just unreal. I don't even know how you could start.
Well, the chess one was it broke itself because obviously Redomus is a chess master, so what am I going to do? I'm going to make a chess game. Of course, I can't really make a chess game like the AI in RPG Maker. That would take another 3 months alone, if that little time. So I compromised with, how could I make this into a puzzle, and just kind of slowly took it down to where it needed to be.
I mean, just the depth, though. Like, I sit here and look at these things, and it takes us multiple episodes to figure them out. Yet you've managed to build them from scratch. It seems infinitely harder. Don't you? You don't find that difficult, or you just have the mind that can do that easily?
It's a little difficult, but I don't think it's that impossible. I mean, honestly, what the problem there is that those puzzles are not perfect. They require a lot more polish than I've given them. Like puzzles like the chess one and Shelley's Gym and the Cage puzzle and Route 2. Dear God, Route 2.
Metro
Don't worry,
remembers.
I've changed that one. I've changed that one a lot for 13. Hopefully it should be
Oh,
better.
really? Interesting.
Yeah. So puzzles like those end up being huge difficulty spikes for the game and sometimes end up being more frustrating than otherwise. So I'm still like working on hammering those out to be smooth enough. So they're complicated, yes. They're inventive, sure, but that doesn't mean they're good.
I see.
Like they could be better.
Right. So some of the inherent difficulty is not necessarily by design.
Well, the chess puzzle is one example of that. Like there's a lot of fake difficulty there because I didn't have a good control mechanism for moving around the pieces.
Yeah.
Like player just pushes them around, but when it comes to the bishops especially, that's so awkward.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have a good solution for that. Route 2 was another example of this because like when you have the crystal asleep and you're pushing it, if you're holding rage powder, it has to ask you every time. The original plan was to make it so that if you push the crystal, like move into it, then it pushes, and if you talk, quote unquote, talk to it, then you use the rage powder. But I failed to account for the fact that RMXP can't do both of those conditions at the same time. So something like that ended up being a really frustrating element of the puzzle that I didn't intend.
About that.
So things like that, yeah, could be better.
Well, there is this Dutch saying, the best critic is always yourself.
This is true.
A lot of these things that you mention now, I actually didn't notice them at all. Like for me, like for example, the Crustle puzzle, I really enjoyed that. So you get a big thumbs up for me. That's all I can say. I don't really have any more questions left.
Yeah.
Besides an encouragement, please continue, do whatever you want with the story. So far, it's been an amazing ride, and we're looking forward to episode 13. Is there any concrete date that you have already fixed, or is it still going to be somewhere in the next month or the next couple of weeks or even later?
It's going to be somewhere around what you said. Like, my goal is to get it out by the end of August, but depending on how some scripting stuff goes, it might be pushed back just a bit past that.
Okay, well, that's completely understandable. We're going to be looking forward to that.
I know I am. Personally, I have to say this. I'm not somebody who typically plays a lot of Pokemon. Not a lot of games like that, right? But Arno and we have had so much fun playing this game together. And like we've taken the characters and done like some voice acting for them. It's just been such a deep experience. And to hear you say this, all these things about these characters that are so much deeper than what they are on the screen. You know what I mean? It's just transcends just writing and scripting and all that. It's actually a living, breathing universe. I can say with hands down, this is by far the best fan-made anything. Pokemon, anything. It doesn't matter. This is it's got the most soul out of anything I've ever experienced. And I have to applaud you for it for sure.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's been a true pleasure speaking with you, but that's pretty much everything. So we're looking forward to it. I know Arno is. I'm totally looking forward to the next episode. And hopefully we see it soon.
And we see some more Kane.
Yeah, Kane. I love him.
There's going to be a bit more Kane.
Okay,
Hey, do you guys mind if I make a quick plug?
Go for it. Yeah, sure.
This is way in advance, but I'm trying to get the word out as much as possible. I'm already planning my life after Reborn, so to speak.
Ooh.
And I'm planning another game.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Uh-oh. It's not going to be a fan game. It's not even going to be Pokemon. Sorry to disappoint,
Okay.
but it is going to be awesome. So the thing is, I'm going to be kickstarting this project after Reborn is finished, so I need as many people to be on board with it as possible, hence the plug. Thanks for allowing me to use your airspace. So just keep an eye out for that. The working public title currently is Project Starlight. For after Reborn is finished, it's going to be a tactical RPG about the war between heaven and hell.
Ooh, that sounds good. I like that.
I'm into fantasy and anime and stuff. That seems very intriguing.
Okay.
Well,
you
if
know
there's
what?
any link you would want us to post, feel free to share it with me afterwards. Or if there is no link, then obviously...
Not yet. That's
yet.
going to come once Reborn is closer to being finished.
Yeah.
So there you go. And you know what? I'm telling you right now, I mean, it depends how long it takes to finish this, but we're gonna hop on that for sure, right, Arno? We're gonna check that out.
Yeah, we're gonna check that out as well, definitely.
Awesome. Thanks.
Great.
Thank you for the short little interview.
For sure. Good luck.
Thank you very much.